All right, so I was going to start talking about metaphysical a priori assumptions. Your brain trucks them in automatically. Why do people make metaphysical priors? Because it's your brain is trying to make coherent sense of the world. Sometimes your brain does it automatically and correctly, but the key is it does it automatically. So let me ask you all a question. What's the top speed of a train? Think about the answer. Every single solitary one of you, without even thinking about it, automatically smuggled in a metaphysical a priori assumption that I meant relative to the earth traveling over land. Why does your brain do that? To make coherent sense of the world. I didn't fill out the sentence. You filled it out automatically. You presupposed what I meant. In this particular case, you were correct. Happened to be right. Okay? But a lot of times, metaphysical a prioris are deeply misleading. So we go to the measurement problem in physics. Lot of a priori assumptions being smuggled in there. First of all, it's presupposing a guy in a lab coat taking a measurement. Those metaphysical a prioris, those assumptions about what's going on, have actually been deeply misleading to science for 100 years. Part of why they think quantum mechanics is so trippy, it's so weird, because they're presupposing a guy in a lab coat taking a measurement, and they're also presupposing a problem. It's neither. It's neither. It's just how properties interact at the quantum level versus the macro level. They interact in a different way. Now, before I go into that in depth, and I will go into that in depth, the most prominent metaphysical a priori assumption in the atheist community is I'm so smart by virtue of being an atheist. I swear to God. That's it. That's the one that's the real nub of the matter. A lot of it, just take Godless Liz, for example. Godless Liz, hello. Hi. It's Craig here. She blocked me. She blocked me. Joe, she blocked me. Why'd she block you, Craig? Because, Joe listened to one of my last videos about the Debate Me Bros, and he made a really good point, as he usually does. He said, there's always going to be dumb atheists and there's always going to be dumber Christians, and that cycle will continue ad infinitum. I don't think it will, Joe. I don't think it will. Why? Because the brand, I'm so smart by virtue of being an atheist, is dead. Godless Liz is a case in point. Okay? Godless Liz. Hello, Craig here. Hi, happy to see you. If you do not unblock me, if you unblock me, you will not show up in my videos as the butt of my joke. If you don't unblock me, you have no reason to block me at all. You will show up on my videos as the butt of my joke, and you won't like the results. Case in point. She's not that bright. She's a ditz, basically. Warrior speed, instead of debating religious people on Twitter, you might want to do like makeup tutorials. I think that's more your speed. I think that's more up your alley. Why? Because she ain't all that. She's a ditz. She's not got nothing going on upstairs. But half of her tweets are I'm so intelligent by virtue of being an atheist. We atheists are such great critical thinkers and we know science so well. There's a problem. Why? She's really dumb. Or she's not really dumb. She's smarter than a lot of people. So she thinks she's smart. Here's what she is in a nutshell. Sometimes Liz's brand, sometimes Liz will tweet out something, and everybody will see this clearly. That's why, Liz, you got something to lose. You should unblock me. Why? Because I'll keep talking about you if you don't. And you won't like it. I'll just point out the obvious and you'll go, wait a minute. The reason why'd she block me? I didn't insult her. I didn't say anything to her like mean or disrespectful. I just pointed out, half her tweets are clever, intelligent. All she's trying to do is own Christians, right? Everybody understands that. Dunk on Christianity. Half her tweets are clever and intelligent and funny. And I laugh. I go, ha ha ha, she got us. Okay, the other half are dumb. Just ignorant tweets, shows that she doesn't understand theology and she doesn't understand what she's talking about. She hasn't thought about it. The problem is she can't tell the difference. That's why she blocked me. Why? Because it threatened that. I didn't say anything all that outlandish. I just said, Liz, this tweet shows ignorance. This really shows poor understanding of what's going on in religion. So she blocked me. And of course, a whole bunch of the dumbass atheists came to defend her. And the form of defense it took, plug in an atheist trope that isn't relevant. That's almost 80% of the argumentation. Here's an atheist trope, not relevant to what I was talking about. I said to the guy, okay, that's a common atheist trope. It's not relevant to what she's talking about or what I was talking about, so why'd you say it? Well, why'd you say it? Because I'm not that bright. Yeah, I understand that. But why am I bothering to talk to you? The problem is, Joe, the brand is dead. Why? Because Liz can't tell the difference between the time she's being clever and funny and witty and intelligent and just dumb and lazy. She can't tell the difference. So let's take Dr. Josh Sijuwade. Many of you saw him on Capturing Christianity. Really bright guy, right? He was also on T-Jump. He's shopping around some argument he calls the metaphysical argument for God. Now, I listened to it once. Is it a great argument? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. You can't process it all the first listen. Why? It's really complex, really high-level stuff. Okay? Is it a great argument? I'm not certain. Dry apologists, you probably listened. Is it a great argument? I couldn't tell. In order for me to really give it the time of day, I'd have to listen to it a couple of times and really process it, right? There's no way Liz could process it at all. No way on earth she could handle it at all. So the brand, I'm so intelligent by virtue of being an atheist, which she ascribes to because she says it a lot on her, go look at her timeline. She probably said it today. Why'd she say it? Because she's only dunking on, Noah's Ark Christians. That's what most of who shows up to defend the faith, the cannon fodder Christians, the Noah's Ark Christians. Noah's Ark Christians, don't disrespect. Sounds really pejorative, Greg. Okay, well, kind of. Or maybe a little, no disrespect, but, you're not helping. Because she dumps on a certain type of Christian and go, look, see how dumb Christians are? Okay, now compare it to Dr. Josh Sijuwade. See how dumb you are, Liz? Get my point? The brand is dead, Joe. The brand is dead. Liz is not so out to lunch that she won't soon recognize. For example, Jeffrey Williams and Christian Idealism have a 2-hour conversation on Jeffrey Williams' channel. You should go check it out, Too Late for the Gods. It's a really good conversation. They cover a lot of ground. They talk about, quantum mechanics, philosophy of mind, Proustian arguments for God. There's no way she would even understand the conversation. Never mind dunk on the Christian. She wouldn't understand the conversation at all. Why? She's not that smart. The brand is dead. When Dr. Josh Sijuwade was on T-Jump's channel, most of T-Jump's audience are dense. Most of them are really dense, promise, like really just not that bright. They weren't processing an argument at all. First of all, you can't process his argument that clearly the first time. There's a couple of atheists who could handle, like Shannon, for example. Nothing to do with Liz being a girl. Okay, makeup tutorials was disrespectful, Craig. I understand that. She's a ditz. What do you want me to say? She's a dumb blonde. Yeah, it's disrespectful on purpose. She blocked me. She earned it. Shannon could probably process the argument, but even Shannon would have to take some time to really think about it and come up with a cogent response. Because it's a pretty high-level argument. Okay, we could have 50 Dr. Josh Sijuwades in the field in a year, 2 years. We could have a lot of guys like that. There's only a handful of people in the atheist community who could handle that. There are intelligent atheists, for sure. But in general, the philosophical atheists, the intelligent, high-minded atheists, if they're more philosopher than atheist, they're more allied to me than opponent. They're more like me than they are like Aaron Ra. They are. They're more allied to me than opponent. Look at the Joe crew. They're more my allies. I consider them allies. I consider you ally, Joe. Cheerio, Craig. Another smashingly good video. Yeah, thanks, Joe. I mean, put it this way. If I get big, you get big. If I get 100,000 subscribers, I'll tell all the atheists, go watch their channel. Why? Because you guys are doing it right. And I'm pretty sure you do pretty much the same thing. When I show up on their channel, they usually, they're not like, see, Craig's an idiot. Look at this clown. Like, another smashingly good video, Craig. Cheerio. First rate work. Thanks, Joe. That's my Englishman. That's my gentleman Englishman. So the brand is dead. And not every atheist is so out to lunch like bitch bog spot or whatever that guy is. Some of you know who I'm talking about. Atheist Ryan, who's wink wink, who's not dry apologist. Wink wink wink. Atheist, I'm not dry apologist. I understand. I'm an atheist. I know. Wink wink. Nudge nudge. Sure you are. I think he was dunking on Ben or one of the real atheologists. Bitch blogspot or something like that. Okay, that guy is so befuddled and out to lunch that he doesn't know he's embarrassing himself with the content he's putting out, right? He's owning himself and he's not aware of it. Not every atheist is that dumb. A lot of the people who are the audience of T-Jump's channel and Pine Creek Doug's channel are that dumb. They are. They plug in atheist tropes that don't make any sense and they have no idea what they're talking about. It's a lot of times why I don't show up in the live chat. Why? Because someone tries to flex on me and they're not even worth talking to. And the things they say don't make any sense. So they were objecting to Dr. Sijuwade's metaphysical argument. They didn't understand it from a hole in the wall. They didn't understand it at all. It's a complex argument. You can't understand it at first listen. Or at least I couldn't. I found it complex. Whether it's a great argument or not sure. But they were dunking on it in ways that didn't make any sense. And they were plugging in tropes. It's too bad a bright guy believes without evidence. That's stupid stuff. That's relevant sometimes, but not relevant now. in this context. So the brand is dead. And once people get hip to the fact that, wait a minute, I'm actually not getting smarter by virtue of being an atheist, they're going to look at the product and go, wait a minute, the product doesn't work. Yeah, it doesn't work. I'm still a dumbass. Yeah, you're still a dumbass. The product don't work. There's no other way. 5 years from now, a whole bunch of the atheists are going to be gone. Why? Because that's why they're atheists. Or a big chunk of it. That might not be the entire reason they're atheists, but it's a big chunk of it. They think they have gained intelligent points by virtue of being an atheist. And once there are more Christians in the field who can dunk on them, they're going to go. They're going to run away. At the end of the day, 5 years from now, at the end of the day, the only ones left standing are going to be the philosophical atheists. Another thing I mean by that is that the high-level philosophical atheist is nuanced, intelligent person, generally polished and sophisticated, like a Ben Watkins or Graham Oppie. It's going to be a high-level contest between two high-level players. Who won won't be a question. Why? Because it won't be a relevant question. It'll be John Buck. Oh, God help us. God help us. John Buck carry the flag. And between Ben Watkins. And the rest of the people won't be able to compete. They won't be here. Why? Because they'll have recognized they're not so out to lunch like Bitch Spot, Blog Spot that they won't recognize that they aren't capable. They aren't capable enough of competing. Godless Liz, you can do the check if you want. Go watch Christian Ideals and Jeffrey Williams. Go watch their conversation. Almost guarantee you can't follow it. Almost guarantee you don't have enough background or intelligence or knowledge to follow the conversation. Yet you're so smart by virtue of being atheist. Don't work like that, princess. Get a clue. Sorry, don't work like that, honey bunny. So you might want to do makeup tutorials. I honestly think they're more your speed. I really do. Why? Because you ain't all that. You're pretending you're all that because your main opponents are, don't be Noah's Ark Christians randomly accumulated on Twitter. Every once in a while, there's a cogent person who shows up and she blocks them, like me, because she gets threatened. Okay, one day she won't be able to hide because there'll be enough Christians in the field. First of all, why this place is the way it is, really honestly, is that most Christians did not wake up to the threat posed by atheism till very recently. Why? Christian hegemony in the culture at large. Think about it. Think about an actual Christian, well-known Christian, Joyce Meyer, Joel Osteen. They're sitting in their they're not real Christians, whatever, but they're sitting in their $100 million mansion, right? With their 3 million audience worldwide. Did you really honestly think they care what Matt Dillahunty's saying on the Atheist Experience? Well, there's some guy on YouTube who we really got to contend with. Why? Well, no, we don't. We don't care. It was only a few type of people who were more scholarly, a few type of people, or the Noah's Ark Christians, paradoxically, who recognized the threat legitimately posed by atheism. That it was actually getting somewhere and gaining some ground and some traction in the culture at large. So the first round of fighters we sent in were the Noah's Ark Christians, the cannon fodder, and they came charge, and they got mowed down, and they got gunned down. They got machine gunned, basically. That's why the brand is still alive. The only reason the brand survives is two reasons. One, Matt Dillahunty. Matt Dillahunty's the only reason the brand survives. Why? He's the first person to tell you he's a philosophical dilettante. I'm not faulting him for that. So am I. This is YouTube. But he happens to be brilliant. And he really is. If he sat down with Dr. Joshua Sijiwame, not only would he be able to process the argument on the fly, he does that a lot, he'd probably process it accurately. Nobody else in the atheist community can do that. He's rare. He's really kind of exceptionally talented that way. The problem is there's nobody coming that's like him. The second smartest is Shannon, and Shannon couldn't do that. I think Shannon's the second smartest. I mean, I'm not talking about the omni-atheists. Obviously, I'm not including guys like Graham Oppie or... I'm talking about local atheists. Maybe Scott Clifton's probably the smartest. I don't know. You start getting up at that level, it's hard to parse out. See, the question becomes irrelevant. If Scott Clifton were going to debate Matt Dillahunty, who won becomes an irrelevant question. You're just going to impress on them both, showing how smart they are. Same idea if John Buck and Scott Clifton have a debate. Same idea. John Buck is almost to the point where he can debate comfortably at that level. He needs to grow a little, tiny bit, but intelligence-wise, definitely. Kid's really bright. Swear to God, he's really bright. Or at least he seems really bright to me. Maybe he's not, but he seems really bright to me. I never censor myself around John Buck. I just talk. And I almost always expect him to just completely understand what I'm saying. He usually does. As far as I can tell, he almost always does. I've been self-censoring my entire life. Why? Because most people can't follow it. I'm aware that most people I talk to just aren't all that upstairs. I'm not dissing on people. Not an intellectual snob. Not even close. But, because half my family are Italian working class. not exactly the sharpest tools in the shed. My family isn't exactly, hey, Vinay, you see that Camaro? Is that an 83? It's a 79. What is he, an idiot? It's a 79, you idiot. That's my family. Not exactly the smartest tools in the shed. No, my family is Italian working class, but they're not exactly Goombas from the Bronx. But the association is there that, I'm not an intellectual snob in the slightest. Why I recognize the intellectual insecurity of the atheist community is because I was raised a card-carrying member of what they call the East Coast elite, the upper middle class suburb. And there is something to be said for being raised that way. Because everybody is aggressive and intelligent. When I say in New York, people see Pine Creek coming a mile away, I'm not saying that to diss on Pine Creek. I'm saying this is God's honest truth. God's honest truth. Nobody, he wouldn't get near anybody. They'd see him coming a mile away. Nobody. Because everybody in New York is aggressive and intelligent. Everybody. That's why they moved to New York, to be around people like that. And it's, there's 3 places in the country that, for the most part, are like that. LA, New York, DC, power centers. That's where the really intelligent people go. Why? Because they want to be somebody. There are other places where intelligent people congregate, but this might be changing now that we have an internet, because you can stay in your local town and still get access to all the information. So that's going to change. I'm just saying, as it was, that it will change. The internet is going to dramatically change that, because you don't have to go to New York anymore. You can stay right where you are, and you have better access to better information right in your little phone, right in your hand. That's going to dramatically shape over the next 30 years, a lot, sociologically. But the brand, I'm so smart by virtue of being an atheist, is dead. 5 years, tops. That's once most atheists get hip to the fact that they didn't gain any intelligence points, they say it a lot. But them saying it a lot is a tell, what we call in poker a tell. Okay, they go, guys, like they got to announce it to everybody. I didn't gain any intelligence points when I deconverted. Okay, that means they still think that they did, because they would be announcing it to us otherwise. Okay, nobody thought you did. Why are you saying that? And once they get hip to the fact that there are high-level chess players waiting in the wings, Christians have woken up to the reality of the challenge presented by the atheist community. So now we are putting players on the field like Joshua Sijuwade, who are going to be coming with sufficient numbers. Okay? Joe, you guys are set. You guys are going to like the new world. Why? Because you guys and Ben Watkins are actually going to enjoy it a lot. You're going to feel way more at home. You won't have to contend with all these dumbass atheists where you have to argue with your own squad and say, look, that argument don't make any sense. You won't have to do that. Why? Because it's going to be 2 high-level chess players on both ends. It will once again be a rarefied environment. Not that popular with not a lot of people. Why? Because the dummies won't be able to compete. They don't know they can't compete yet. They will get hip to that fact pretty soon, and then they realize, wait a minute, this brand doesn't work. I'm not any smarter by virtue of being an atheist. No, you're not. They'll look at the product and go, wait, this product didn't work. Yeah, it didn't work. And they'll start looking around for something else. Why? Because that's why they're here. For a huge chunk of them, that's why they're here. To dunk on Noah's Ark Christians and think they're smart. And yeah, that will soon become not something that's doable. Because there will be enough high-level players on both ends, and we'll be talking over their heads the entire time. And they'll feel stupid and leave. Godless Liz, you can check it out if you want. Go watch Christian Idealism and Jeffrey Williams discuss, quantum mechanics and philosophy, and you go tell me if you still feel like you're the smartest person in town, because you won't. You won't understand after the conversation. She won't. She won't. Because it's over her head. It's over her head. And it sure seems now it's over her head, guys. It's over the head of a lot of people in the atheist community. They're smart atheists for sure. As a general rule, though, the audience is populated. Nathan's audience is probably the smartest. And there's a lot of crossover between his audience and Pine Creek's. And there are smart people in those audiences. I can tell you who they are. Why? Because I read their tweet. I read what they say. And okay, that guy's got something upstairs, and that guy doesn't. It's not that complicated. That guy's intelligent, and you aren't. Dharma Defender, Camille Gregor, Mind Onion, all intelligent guys. There's a bunch. That new Matt guy who debated Lance. People even know what I'm talking about. There's a bunch of them who are smart. But if you go to Pine Creek's audience, there's a lot of them that are just befuddled. Totally dumb. Go look at the stuff they're saying in the comments. Most of it doesn't make any sense. Most of it doesn't make any sense at all. And the only reason why they didn't notice is because they flex on a Noah's Ark Christian. So they don't notice that they don't have coherent thought processes that don't really make any sense, and they're not really thinking clearly about the topics. They don't know that they're totally ignorant. They have no idea. They're going to get wise to that pretty soon. Why? Because reality's coming. There are soon going to be, we can field 100 guys like Dr. Joshua Sijuwame. We can have 100 guys in the field like that tomorrow. Why? Because there are millions of Christians out there. There's millions of Christians out there who have not come online yet. Dr. Joshua Sijuwame, unlike Matt Dillahunty, is not a rare, exceptionally intelligent person. He's really bright. He's probably a PhD. He's capable of nuanced, complex, high-level thought. But Matt Dillahunty's rare. He can think on the fly and process an argument really quickly without thinking about it. Nobody else can do that. He's the only person I've seen who can do that. And as I said, he's starting to slow down a little too. But there's nobody else in the field coming who's like him. So everybody else is going to have to compete the same way. IP is a really bright guy. Okay, why everyone gets so stressed out by IP is he's not perfect. He's got some flaws in his game, okay? But he's really intelligent guy, and he does his homework. That brand could be reproduced 100 times over really easily. We just draw from the general population. They're coming, and they're coming in numbers. That's my point. So if you debunk IP because he doesn't, he's got a little bit of a bad argument here or there, it's irrelevant. Why? Because we're going to have 50 of him in the field tomorrow. So they're coming. And the atheist is going to run away. Why? It's got no option. There's no other option. They can't compete. It's going to be a rarefied field between two pointy heads on either end. And they're going to have respect for each other. They're all going to be civilized, incredible, and intelligent, and who won won't be a real question. It's like you ever watch those fast money things where someone tries to make they call like Tesla, and one guy comes up and tries to make the bull case for Tesla, and another guy tries to make the bear case. Try to just watch some of those sometime and try and decide whether to invest. You won't be able to figure it out. Why? Because they both come armed with tons of sufficient justification for the things that they are trying to present. They both come armed with evidence up the wazoo. So the one guy will say, Tesla needs to sell, they need their forward price to earning ratio is so out of whack, they would need to sell a car for $1 million a piece to even be profitable. And it may be correct. And the other guy comes up and goes, well, but keep in mind that you're dealing with Elon Musk. And so he's already moved on to making batteries, and those batteries he's going to be marketing in China. They're both right. They're both high-level, really intelligent, credible people, and you can't decide who's winning and who's losing. It becomes a meaningless question. Why? Because they're both really intelligent. With almost every philosophical, high-minded, intelligent atheist, I could carve out a meaningful compromise today wherein we all both decide these are the facts. These are the facts as we understand them. These are the things under dispute. Most of your content creators are getting a lot of mileage, fake mileage, out of fake arguments. What I call the sleight of hand school of counter-apologetics. That's why I don't bother watching their videos, why they're irrelevant. I'm not saying that to diss on them, I'm saying they're not relevant. They're trucking in all these, getting back to metaphysical a priorities, because that's the nature of the ballgame. That is the entirety of what actually should be going on. You, whoever you may be, you truck in metaphysical a priori assumptions about the world. If you do not actively construct them, your brain constructs them for you automatically, as I evidenced in the beginnings of this video. I'll go back to that another time, Joe. Cheerio, Greg. Especially good video. Another slam dunk if I do say so myself. Thanks, Joe. That's big of you. Nailing it again then, Craig. So I'll go back into that another time if I need to address it. 5 years from now, there aren't going to be a lot of dumb atheists. There aren't. They're going to be high-level, intelligent atheists, philosophical-minded atheists, and high-level, intelligent Christians, and nobody else. It's going to be a rarefied field. Why? Because they can't compete. They didn't get any smarter by virtue of being atheists. They can't even process these arguments correctly most of the time. Some of them are so dumb they don't know it, like BitchSpot, Blogspot are so dumb they don't know they're embarrassing themselves. They have no idea because they're that befuddled and out of it. There's a lot of people in Pine Creek's audience who are like that, by the way. Go look. Go read the comments. You don't believe me. Promise. There's a lot of people like that. That's why they're so insecure. They're intellectually insecure. I prove it. It was really funny because there was this girl, ex-cult baby, Rudy, maybe, I'm not sure what her name is, but she posted, who's a positive atheist? And what she meant pretty clearly was, who's a positive role model for the atheist community? But what a lot of people took it as is, who's making a positive case for atheism, trying to argue it propositionally. Freaking, there's like 300 responses. Atheism isn't a belief, it's not a worldview. Like, people freaked out. It's hilarious. Emerson Green goes laughing my ass off at these comments because it was crazy. There's a lot of that. And the reason why they're so hand-wringing and insecure, intellectually insecure, is because they have good reason to be. Once this is starting to be a proper engagement done properly, they're going to have to go. Why? Because they can't compete. They won't be able to compete. It's going to be a high-level chess match between two pretty evenly matched eggheads, pointy heads. And they're going to be pretty equal on both sides, just like it is on Fast Money. Deciding who's right. You go watch one of those bull case, bear case things and try to decide how to invest your money. You won't be able to figure it out. Because they're both bringing tons of ammunition to the table. Tons of robust justifications for their positions. That's what it's ultimately all about. Do you have sufficient, robust justification for the things you believe? Now, every Christian could actually tone down their metaphysical commitments so that they are only bringing robust justifications for the things they believe. Then it's literally shopping around a version of Christianity, maybe different from the one you privately ascribe to, okay? But the one you shop around in public, that is virtually unassailable. There's no such thing as winning. And it's not a zero-sum contest. The reason why in politics it's a zero-sum contest is because it is. If a Democrat secretly agrees with a Republican on Proposition X or whatever, it's not in his best interest to even give them that, yield that territory. Why? Because ultimately it's a zero-sum contest. We take a vote, and either the Democrat or the Republican is going to be the governor, right? This isn't a zero-sum contest. If you see two high-level chess players competing, you don't vote, and John now has to go home, and Ben Affleck, I keep calling him Ben Watkins, gets to stay on YouTube, and John has to leave YouTube. They both get a bigger audience. People go, wow, those two guys are really smart. They both come out looking good. It's not a zero-sum contest. Doesn't need to be. That's why, the philosophical atheists are more ally than opponent. Why? Because they're generally speaking not team players. They're more philosopher than atheists. So they're more about trying to figure out this stuff, philosophy of religion, trying to figure out why people believe things and trying to analyze and think about it clearly than they are about trying to beat me. They don't even think that that's like a real thing. They let me live. Mercifully, they let me pal around with them. JB, they let me pal around and talk about zombie flicks. Hey, there's Greg again. As long as I don't go, Jesus loves you guys. Oh God, that again. Jesus loves you guys. Zombie flicks is great, but you guys are gonna fry if you don't find Jesus. So there's no reason why this needs to be contentious at all. No reason at all. Why? Because both, if you're doing it correctly, you both come out looking good. You both come out ahead of the curve. Way ahead. You're not doing it correctly, you're trying to dunk on Christianity all the time. That brand is eventually going to, 5 years I give it, at the most. 5 years. Why? Because those people aren't that smart. Godless is actually kind of intelligent. I'm kind of playfully dissing her when I say, makeup tutorials are more her speed. Because she's pretty smart. I see why she thinks she's smart, because sometimes she is clever and funny. Okay, but she can't tell the difference from when she's just being lazy and dumb. She can't tell the difference. She's capable of telling the difference, but she doesn't think she has to tell the difference. Why? Because she doesn't recognize that there are actually intelligent Christians on her threads. Godless says, do yourself a favor. Go watch Christian Idealism and Jeffrey Williams discuss things that are outside of your purview, to tell you God's honest truth. Outside of your pay grade. You are not, as it presently stands, capable of joining the conversation. You are capable of learning and humbling yourself and growing and becoming perhaps a participant in the conversation. But as it stands right now, no, you aren't all that. Think too highly of yourself as you might. A lot of atheists think too much of how intelligent they are. A lot. It's common. It's the most common thing. They think they're really, really intelligent and they're not. That's the most common thing in the atheist community. And that's not just because it's a common thing with the provincial type of person. You know, if you come from a small town, my mom, I'm not dissing you if you're from a small town. I'm not dissing you, promise. My mom was from a ghetto, Italian working class. Okay, my mom has the exact same personality type as most atheists. She didn't become an atheist. Why? Because there was no atheism to latch onto back in the public 1970s. But it's the same principle. She was a small town Italian. No, not small town. From the Italian hood, Charleston, you know, the Italian ghetto in Boston. The smartest person in her little community of paisanos. she put in her little community of, you know, dummies, basically. I mean, just be straightforward. So she got, you know, she got a scholarship to college. Poor. She was poor, actually. It wasn't lower working middle class. She was basically, you know, it was the slums. And she got a scholarship to college. So she got to go to college, and then she got good jobs because, you know, she was smarter than everybody. There's a lot of intellectual insecurity in my mom. I saw it all the time. She was an East Coast elite by virtue of where we grew up. So her friends, she was one of her friends, and they were all like, you know, highbrow feminists, intelligentsia, and she fit in because she is pretty smart. Okay, but there was always that gnawing insecurity, that gnawing, because if you poked her too much, she didn't know a lot of stuff. That like intellectual insecurity was a part of her the entire time. It was hard to get at, but you know, same idea. Did you think that they think they're 100 times smarter than they in fact are because they come from a town where they're the smartest guy in their church group? Okay, and that ain't saying anything. In New York, everybody I knew was as smart as anybody in here. Everybody I hung around with, everywhere you went, was as smart as anybody in here, including Alex Malpass, including Graham Oppie. You know, most of the people you associate with and pal around with, yeah, they're freaking boozers and punk rockers, but they're really intelligent people for the most part. You know, it's expected of you in New York. It's metaphysically a priori assumed about you. Why, you wouldn't be there otherwise. So the brand, I'm so smart by virtue of being an atheist, is dead. I give it 5 years at the max. Why? Because it isn't working. And once people get hip to the fact that the product doesn't work, they're going to reject the product. Why? Because it doesn't work. Doesn't work. You aren't. You're a dumbass. You become an atheist, you're still a dumbass. Promise. I promise. No, I'm not. I'm smart. Because of science, Craig. Yeah, science, and you don't know jack squat about it. Joe, you see that every single day. You guys go half the time you're you know, wringing your hands at the density of your own community. Okay, the brand's gone. You're gonna like the new world. You will. You'll fit better. You'll be, you know, most of the philosophical, intelligent atheists are gonna really like the new environment, the new world that's being born. Yeah, running out of time. So I guess I'll wrap it up for now. I was gonna go into metaphysics. I'll go into metaphysical a prioris in a different video. That's just a little fun little knick-knack video. Just toss it out there, you know, just for fun. Liz, no hard feelings. Just unblock me and you won't show up in my videos. That's the butt of my joke. You know, she's relatively intelligent. You know, intelligence is a relative term. She's smarter than most of the Noah's Ark Christians that line up to go out her tweets. She blocked me immediately. That's very telling. Why'd she block me? I didn't insult her. Because she knew. She knew. She can't tell the difference between her clever dunks and her stupid dunks. All she's trying to do is dunk on Christianity. Sometimes it's clever and intelligent and witty and funny, and sometimes it's really stupid and ignorant. And she has no idea which ones are which. She has no idea. She's not that deep. Put it that way. She's not that deep. And she doesn't really care. She's having fun, just, you know, doing her thing. Okay, that's fine. But the brand where she's so smart by virtue of being an atheist is dead. It's 5 years tops. Why? Because there are people coming on the Christian side who are, you know, in numbers. We can put a lot of guys in the field, a lot of numbers. Dr. Joshua Sijiwame is not unique or unusual. Neither is Inspiring Philosophy. If you don't think those two guys are all that, that's fine. We can put 100 guys in the field like that. 100 guys in the field like that. They're smarter than 50% of the atheist community? 60%? So 60% of the atheist community, bye-bye, can't compete. Bye. Bye. Because you didn't get any smarter by virtue of being an atheist. I did, though, Craig. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Bye. You know, Ben Watkins could take on the metaphysical argument for sure. And maybe it's not that great of an argument. I didn't really examine it too closely. It could have structural flaws in it, but it's going to become an environment for pointy heads and nobody else. So the other guys think that they can be pointy heads by virtue of association. They can't be. That doesn't work. You can't be. You can't become intelligent by virtue of association. I get why people associate atheism with intelligence is historical precedent. Okay, Nietzsche, pointy head. Albert Camus, pointy head. Bertrand Russell, pointy head. Sartre, pointy head. Those are the most famous atheists of the last 100 years, and they're all, generally considered first-rate intelligentsia, card-carrying members of the philosophical elite. Correct? Okay, you don't gain intelligence by virtue of association with that brand. The Four Horsemen ain't them. The Four Horsemen are on the wane already, and I'll go into that in depth in other videos. The Four Horsemen are on their way out the door, and they're going to be replaced by the new agnostics. Let's call them John Vervaeke, Bernardo Castro, Donald Hoffman, Philip Goff, all atheists / agnostics, all philosophers. Good philosophers, by the way. Philip Goff is a really good philosopher. The reason why the Four Horsemen influences on the wane is because part of it is that part of their brand was, we don't do philosophy, we're just scientists. Richard Dawkins, we don't do philosophy. Okay, well, then you're not deep thinkers. So eventually your influence is going to wane. So it's waned already. They're not on the rise, they're on the down. So that's how I see it, and pretty sure it's going to happen. 5 years from now, there's not going to be a whole bunch of dumbass atheists around. Why? Because they'll have been. You own them once, 3 times. Once they get owned 3 times, they're gone. Why? Because they'll feel stupid and won't stick around. Once they feel stupid, the game is over. So far, there aren't enough smart Christians to make someone like Liz feel stupid. She blocked me. Why? Because I could make her feel stupid really easily. Even on Twitter. Even on Twitter. In real life, I can make someone feel stupid. No one ever squares off against me in real life. Because I can make them feel stupid just by pauses. Somebody says something dumb and I just hesitate. Just give them a look. Says, come again? And they'll feel dumb immediately and won't continue with whatever imbecile thing they're trying to argue. I never get an intellectual. Nobody ever challenges me in real life. Ever. Why? Because most people really easily understand that I can do that. On Twitter, I can't. Because I'm stupid. I'm a boomer, like big fat thumbs and trying to push buttons. It doesn't work. I'm stupid. I'm basically, duh. Oh, I'll get you, Liz. Bum, bum, bum. With these big fat thumbs and small buttons. And I'm like, there. It doesn't work. It doesn't translate very well. I swear to God. So I can't really make someone feel stupid on Twitter. But there are Christians coming who can. And once she feels stupid, the jig is up, the game is over, the brand is dead. As soon as she feels stupid, the brand is dead. Then she'll feel self-conscious. Shorty is self-conscious about her intelligence, or she wouldn't have blocked me. A lot of atheists are really self-conscious about their intelligence. Really self-conscious. That's why they talk about it all the time. So they're really self-conscious, really deeply and they have good reason to be. Why? Because they're really not that sharp. Most of Pine Creek's audience is dumber than dumb. Befuddled is how I describe them. Most of T-Jump's audience, too. They say tropes that don't fit what's being discussed. They're like totally clueless. The guy's giving this metaphysical argument and they throw out tropes that don't have anything to do with what he's talking about. And they don't know. And why they don't know? Because they high-five each other about how clever they're being, and they're being idiots. That reality check is coming. You don't gain intelligence points by being an atheist. That reality check is coming, and it's coming fast. And most of the brand atheist, I'm so smart by virtue of being an atheist, is a big part of the brand. And that brand is dead. It doesn't matter if they're Noah's Ark Christians. Why? Because there'll be enough intelligent Christians. Look at the guy you were debating with, Joe. Relief Belief. Relief Belief is kind of amusing. He's a little bit like Bitch Blog Spot. He even says, smartest guy in the room on his Twitter feed. Smartest guy in the room. No, he ain't. He's not even close. He's the smartest guy in the room. Could he cogently argue with Dr. Joshua Sijuame? I don't know. Jeffrey Williams could, easily. But again, Jeffrey Williams, there wouldn't be a clear winner necessarily. Because they go off into side conversations and start discussing the nature of this, the nature of that. And smart people be like loving it. Wow, this is really intelligent. Everybody else like, well, where's the flex? Where's the owning? This is boring. This environment is not for dumb people. They don't belong here. They don't. If they don't. So sorry. And no, the atheists didn't get smarter by virtue of being an atheist. Most of them are dense. A huge chunk of them are just dense. Yeah, a little bit smarter than those are Christian, fine. It's not saying anything. It's not saying anything. Again, your nose are Christian, no disrespect. It sounds like a pejorative, Greg. I understand it sounds like a pejorative, but it wasn't. It really wasn't. It really does sound like it. I get that. You know, I understand why you would think that, but trust me, it's not. So there you have it. Just a fun little in between video. I'll probably talk about this again because it's fun. It's a fun topic. You know, I was going to go into metaphysical priors and quantum mechanics and all sorts of that stuff, but I'll save it for another day. So with that, I will wrap up the video. The mass has ended. Go in peace. Amen.